So I'm a member of a football manager group, and people were talking about how do you find wonder kids? What do you do? And for the majority of people, I think people do things like go to a certain nation, check out the under-20 squad. Well, if there's anyone in there, let's say under-21s. So you check the under-21s, get the youngest players, and then scout them. Other people do things like setting up, scouting profiles to look for players of a certain age in certain regions, which can be effective. You're setting it up so you're looking for a certain level of potential. Maybe you say what to specifically be transfers, set the the top end of the age, and just set it as ongoing and assign a certain amount of scouts to it, and just leave it to run, and then that will find you a certain amount of young players to focus on. But people were suggesting different ways that they go about finding wonder kids. A lot of people will literally go to a league, start viewing all the teams in that league, like so. Start with a team other than my own. Look at all of the players in the squad, and you can see all the young players. And then sometimes people will say, okay, well look at the transfer value. Another good tip to see which ones stand out is the salary. If there's a young player who's suddenly earning a hell of a lot more than the rest of the young players in his squad, there's a good chance that this is, probably the most talented young player in the squad. And those ways do work, but sometimes I think you're likely to miss some of the hidden gems. And the safest bet is to just say, okay, I'm going to scout everybody of a certain age, and that's a pretty safe bet. But I think one of the other ways that people don't talk about, and it's probably because they're relatively new to Football Manager, is agents. And if you go to, let's say this kid looks like a relatively decent one, he's nothing spectacular, but you'll see his agent, he's got an agent. Sometimes wonder kids of a certain age in certain regions won't have an agent, so then you're screwed. But generally, if they play in the major leagues, play in many of the major clubs, you'll find that they do tend to have agents. So you go to the agent, have a look at the players associated with this agent, and you can see by the sort of estimated transfer values, especially when you compare with the clubs that we're talking about here, these are probably pretty talented youngsters. I mean, this kid here, 16 to 19 million at Pacos de Ferreira, is probably a bit of a genius. I think I'm already looking at him. But yeah, as you can see, he's a pretty talented young kid. Nothing mind-blowing, but 2-footed, etc., etc. I think I'm already scouting him. But the point is, if you jump in and look at the agents associated, so let's try somewhere else. Try Mexico. So you look at Mexico, and then we'll go, okay, under-19s, who's in the under-19s? So you've got Herman Jimenez. Now, I don't know if this guy's any talented or not, but seems alright for his age. So have a look here. So here's his agent, Julio Ramos. So here we go, straight away we've got a bunch of young players here, and my move immediately was just scout everybody. I usually scout everyone under 18, essentially. I mean, sometimes it's worth having a look at the 18-year-olds as well, especially if you're in like I'm managing Porto at the minute, so it makes sense to try and find some of the younger players that might have been ignored by the absolute biggest clubs in Europe, but have the ability to develop and become very strong players if given match time. So like there's this 18-year-old lad here who's got an estimated value of 6. So he's probably relatively talented. He doesn't look like a mind-blowing player there, but strong first touch. Huge as well, which I like large players, especially for set pieces. But yeah, that was kind of it. If you're looking for wonder kids, don't be afraid to look at agents. Use agents. Especially if you've got a good player, look at that agent and see who else he's associated with. Because good players usually have the same agent as other good players. So Cheers.